I'm about to skip this. Skip. But when does this game get f***ing good?
Alright, slight clickbait. Depending on your definition of suck and knowing your YouTube history, please do not elaborate further. For any halfway competent player in Hearts of Iron 4, aka a CPSM certified supply chain manager, the US quickly and rather easily becomes an unstoppable powerhouse, unassailable on its home island by any AI, and come early 1940s able to field an entire army group consisting of nothing but T-38 super heavy Doom Turtles, Power Armor Marines, and Liberty Primes.
Better dead than red.
Yes, indeed, my friend. For the bot, however, a US run usually means losing approximately 2 million corn-fed American boys on various random shorelines of Europe with botched, pell-mell naval invasions instead of just committing to a single fat D-Day. And this major schism between the nation as either AI or player is just one of the many problems with America and HOI4. It represents probably the most unmanageable and intractable design challenge outside of getting people to actually give a shit about Africa. Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes, and still no one cares about this continent. So why does America suck in HOI4? The question comes down to HOI4 developers, our generous Swedish caliphs at Paradox, having to ask themselves, how do you translate a nation that was simultaneously the world's single largest economy by a wide margin and a military non-participant in the early years into compelling grand strategy gameplay? And how much can we charge for the rework? First, free incompatibilities. Much like yourself, gainful employment, and a girlfriend not made in a sweatshop in China. Number 1. The historical reality is that the US economy was immense. HOI4 has massively nerfed its industrial capacity for the sake of balancing and to ensure that the US isn't immediately capable of entering into a global blobfest. Possibly to game mechanic-wise recreate the lack of political will for military involvement in Europe and the Pacific in the late 30s. Second, the player experience between 1936 and 1941 must be actually engaging rather than a 5-year clicker/AFK simulator. But the US also can't be allowed to accomplish too many things or risk becoming too overpowered by in-game standards. Third, what makes the US so strong in the hands of even a midwit player, which, it's me, hi, I'm the guy still spamming light tanks in 1945, it's me, is exactly the skill that the AI completely lacks. It cannot prepare and strategize for the long term, so player decisions with the US have to be hamstrung through the slow focus tree and multitudes of debuffs, since that's the type of simplicity the AI also is capable of dealing with. Anything more complex than simply AFK clicking all the debuffs away is too much to ask from the AI, and anything more gainful would make a US player way too powerful come 1941. The game has to have a historical foundation which makes the US strong and unassailable, but the US cannot immediately be allowed to engage in warfare and blob the entire world, so they must be early game nerfed and hamstrung. But now, the US has nothing to do for 5 years, so they're boring. But if we make them too strong from the beginning, they're no challenge to play, and this is a video game after all. But if they're too weak, the idiotic AI cannot even attempt to act as the final boss for a fascist, communist or monarchist player in Europe. And now we have a Gordian knot that makes designing a balanced US national focus tree basically impossible. For the US, the interwar period sucks. It is nothing but easy busy work. The House and Senate mechanic pales in comparison to Italy's balance of power, or even tiny, irrelevant Nazi gold hedging Switzerland's cantons versus council mechanic, which of course leads us to the sad timeline we find ourselves in. As of the first fiscal quarter of 2026, the world seems to be going up in flames, and we still have no HOI4 USA DLC. DLC. Also, no Half-Life 3, but that's an entirely different bag of cats. Is the time right now in beautiful Stockholm being spent designing the most brilliant and balanced US focus tree, or will we see a repeat of Graveyard of Empires and have Florida divisions rolling into battle with support alligators? I'll be honest, screw balancing the US, screw balancing the interwar period, screw putting a muscle on the devil dog nation. Across the years, HOI4 DLCs have increasingly moved towards unmitigated power creep. It's simple if you want to sell your DLCs, and if you're Paradox, nothing in the entire world interests you more than that. You must make the countries attractive. This is straightforward for nations like Brazil or Turkey, large nations easily made relevant due to sheer size, geographic location, and an eternally shining sun that gently kisses the olive skin of the basking Fraulein. In contrast, nations like Albania or Afghanistan, smaller countries with horrendous locations, geography, and an early childhood consisting of tobacco, opium, and daily beatings, are not exactly compelling for the average player. The answer? Power fantasy. Make them insanely powerful to incentivize people buying your DLCs, and strap in for the upcoming Albania DLC, where there's smoke, there's Marlboro cigarettes, wherein Albania receives the entire Balkans for free in the first 3 focus choices, and a humble 100% permanent attack bonus to more effectively form the Roman Empire under Imperator Caesar Sorg by 1941. Now, why is this non-American nonsense significant for the US? Because a major reason why the US national focus tree is so boring, its mini-game mechanics such a nothing burger, is that the US have yet to receive any major changes or direct overhauls since Man the Guns DLC came out a lifetime ago. In 2019. The national focus tree and everything to do with its PvP decisions are so outdated that even Lithuania has far more to do and accomplish in its focus tree. Now, I am not opposed to minor nations being allowed to go full send alternate history power fantasy. In fact, I am very much in favor for it, as it allows tiny, irrelevant Denmark to reclaim its rightful territory of Skåne, Slesvig, the entirety of Norway, Tallinn, and of course the Tesco Superstore in Derby. But at some point, that point being right now, power creep has overtaken HOI4 to such a degree that the US of freaking A has started to feel like an underpowered, boring, and loitering nation. Give the US the treatment it deserves, and then charge us $40 for it, sure, but if India can get industrialized the war elephants with stats basically as good as heavy tanks, war elephants mind you that was phased out of use in frontline combat due to early gunpowder technology, then I want Liberty Primes, plural, in Moscow tomorrow. Also, give one of the Central American countries velociraptors as a unit. We have officially lost the plot. In all seriousness though, the US badly needs a redesign, and yes, it should fully unleash a diabolically overpowered Silver Confederacy, Red Socialist States, and Lord forgive me, but even an American monarchist line under the magnanimous King Schmedley Butler of House JP Morgan. But most importantly, the democracy lines need to go crazy. The US as the bogeyman or the hemispheric police force, depending on your perspective, even as a democracy, is what it should be all about. The Banana Wars proved that beyond any doubts at all. Now, I am by no means trying to besmirch the good name of America. Every country has skeletons in their closet, except for Mongolia. They have entire graveyards. But what national focuses and PvP decisions need, more than a bunch of 70-day pluses to attack and dockyard construction speed and close air support research speed, is an actual goal to work towards. Yes, the historical line is going to be a little boring. Maybe we can play around with the Lend-Lease and the weapons selling mechanic to emphasize how important the US was in arming and rearming the Allies. But the historical path is going to be monotonous. Great, so is the goddamn historical path for Denmark, or for Poland, or for Lithuania, or for Turkey for that matter. The historical path is 99% going to be only for the AI, and 1% going to be for the weird guy dressing up in Civil War garbs so he can pretend to get his leg sawed off without anesthetics on the weekends. We do not consider the historical paths when designing national focuses and their end goals. Paradox has made that abundantly clear. War elephants with higher stats than infantry, summon reanimate that worthless scrub Hannibal Barca and tell him that losing all his elephants in the Alps is a major skill issue. What I want to see the US be able to do at the end of its democracy focus tree is to puppet the entirety of Central and South America. Banana Wars 2 COVID Boogaloo. I want to see the OSS crack open the CIA label a little early. I want to pour weapons meant for Europe and PP meant for remedial congressmen in Kentucky into coups instead, into regime changes, rigged elections, false flag attacks, you name it. I want 8 separate Bay of Pigs invasions by 1931. I want to see the secret agent system stretched to its very limits. Give the US 20 secret agents. I want to democratically own the entire North and South American continent through espionage, through manufactured revolutions, and if and only if necessary, military invasion. If I have to spend a bunch of PP, build some infrastructure for more effective inbreeding in Alabama, and launch a few false flag attacks on my own civilian populace to convince my constituents that those dastardly Belizeans are planning to invade Florida, so be it. What we have right now is first of all boring, a cardinal sin, but also repetitive, monotonous, and essentially boils down to nothing but waiting and preparing for a European theater of war and a Pacific theater of war. We click and click and click to reduce penalties and increase bonuses and build beautiful Sherman tanks, and that's it. There is no other goal. There is nothing to do in the in-between. Give America the goal it yearns for, Paradox. Now, I am once again not saying that every single US politician throughout history has combed their bedsheets at night, dreaming of ways to rat fuck South America, but anyway, regardless of whether it's Central America or South American hegemony, the US needs if not multiple, historical goals to work towards during the interwar period. I mean, goddamn, it's the US, the most powerful nation on Earth with nothing to do in 5 years of game time.
Today's subject: slavery.
Give the players something else to focus their industry and PP and attention towards. If we have other goals, maybe we won't be as strong in projecting into Europe because we spend our entire load subjugating Nicaragua. Or maybe we'll be twice as strong, but at least one of the most significant countries in both World War II, but also just in general, is allowed to spread its wings and fly. 3 paratrooper divisions into every South American capital. So yes, it'll be absurdly overpowered. Yes, the secret agent framework and puppet mechanic might need some rework. I recommend yoinking from some mods. And no, I don't care that OSS becoming the CIA is 10 years too ahead of its time. India using war elephants as frontline units is almost 100 years too behind of its time. And an isolationist blue America that ignores Europe and focuses its attention towards South America and the Pacific is exactly what will make the US stop sucking so bad. The US is the perfect candidate for our first HOI4 democracy world domination focus tree. Not just through invasions, but through the secret agent system and possibly through an industry economy subjugation decision minigame. You will embrace the spectre of market capitalism, or you will wake up in the shade of the B-17 flying fortress. Also, as a quick reminder, we all remember the first 7 deadly sins, even though we do our best to ignore them. After all, trying to explain how the femboy Dakimakura isn't at all related to lust at the pearly gates in front of St. Peter is going to be quite the tall task. However, we must do our best not to forget the 8th deadly sin, which is to make every single national focus, including and especially the ones with the most marginal of stat buffs, into 70-day focuses. Remember, Paradox, God is watching. Although Paradox headquarters are in Sweden, so maybe...
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Alright, that was a video. Thank you very much for watching this far, it means a lot to me. Like for the good old algorithm, comment for my eyes to read, and subscribe for more cromulent videos to come. Check out the description for my support links, Patreon, YouTube membership, and all that jazz. Check out some of my other videos, like my previous video on Hearts of Iron 4 and whether the game can teach you real history. This video was my 3rd HOI4 video, and while I'll make videos on whatever game or topic I I feel like in the moment. I play HOI4 and watch other HOI4 videos constantly, so I'll be making a bunch more Hearts of Iron videos. Stay tuned for those and stay frosty.